Hey everyone, we want to welcome you to the Deeper Dive podcast of Hopevale Church, where we take the message from the weekend and keep the conversation going during the week. And I'm Kathy Davis, and I'm joined today by Sam Burke, our next gen pastor.
Hey.
Hey Sam,
What's
how are
going
you?
on?
It's you and me today.
Yes.
Yeah. So we've done this before, so I'm like super jazzed to be able to talk to you about yesterday because we wrapped up our series.
Yes.
And so we're going there. But I feel like between yesterday morning when you brought the message and this morning, which is we're taping this on Monday morning,
Right.
there was a lot of stuff that happened.
There was. Yes.
And so I feel like we can talk about it because it is the deeper dive.
Right.
And I feel like we can talk about yesterday was Halloween, or as Billy would say, Reformation. What did he say? All Saints Day.
All Saints Day, which is actually today.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought, Billy, that'd be wrong. Like, I think that's Monday, and this is the day, like the Reformation Day.
Reformation Day was
right.
yesterday, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, but then we live in America, and so
Right.
we live in Saginaw or the Great Lakes Bay region, and yesterday was Halloween.
Right.
And so talk to me about what Halloween looks like in the Burke household, because it's deeper dive and like everything's on the table.
Right. Okay. So for those of you who don't know, my wife is amazing at hosting parties
She
and
is.
things and decorating and all that kind of
She
stuff. And
is.
so we usually go all out for Halloween just for fun for our kids. So
Oh, right.
food,
Yeah.
themed stuff.
Yeah.
As our kids have gotten older, they have appreciated the theming of the food less. So like the,
The
hot
mummy
dogs
hot
that are
dog.
mummy, yeah, all that stuff. So she's like, I'm not gonna do that this time. So now it's just about good food.
Yeah.
So she made chili. And
Oh,
she
yum.
made a potato soup that was really, really good. We had a salad, all kinds of fun stuff. But our kids the night before, they carved the pumpkins because they like
yeah.
doing that kind of stuff. But this was the first year that I didn't have to do a lot.
Uh-huh.
They all did their own, like digging out of the pumpkins, cutting
they're
it,
into it.
carving it, all that kind of. They wanted to do it, so I was
Yeah.
like, okay. So this is the first year that I got to like do my Halloween playlist on
Yeah.
my phone.
Oh, that's what you were
while they were doing it. Yeah.
Wait, you were creating one?
No, I was searching for them on Spotify. So
Oh.
that was a lot of fun. And then I'm just watching them, taking pictures
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of stuff. So I'm like, oh, we have entered a new phase where I'm not digging my hand down in the nasty goop
Yeah.
and all that stuff and letting them do that.
Uh-huh.
Of course, Jonathan, he's got sensory stuff. So he's like running around with a mask on. Like, I don't want to smell it.
Oh,
and all
because
that.
this pumpkin smell bad.
And
yeah.
then Nick doesn't want to touch it, so he's got gloves on, and he's got goggles and a mask and other stuff. He looked like, I told him, I said, you look like Breaking Bad over here cutting up your pumpkin. And so it just was funny. We snapped pictures of it. It was great.
And everybody had fun. Nobody
Oh,
melted
yeah.
down or
No.
whatever.
It
Yeah,
was
yeah,
a
yeah.
bunch of fun. And then Nick went to a party with a bunch of his friends because he's officially a high schooler now.
Right,
So
I
he's like,
know.
I'm going to go trick-or-treating, but not with my family. I'm going to go with all my friends. So I was telling you earlier before we press record,
Yeah.
he's got this motley crew of friends, and they all have way weird sense of like what they want to wear costume-wise and stuff.
Right.
I'm like, whatever. It's awesome. So then I went with Jonathan and Karis trick-or-treating through our neighborhood, and it was just a lot of fun. It was
You have a
great.
good neighborhood, right? They were handing
Yes.
out the candy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Except for one street, which I won't name, but because maybe someone listening is on that
Right.
street.
And they might be offended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're on that street,
Step
do
it up. Step it up. You can do it. So I got like a deeper dive question on the Halloween thing because we've had this conversation.
Yes.
You know, when I raised my kids who are now in their 20s in this community as a Christ follower,
Yes.
we did not do the trick-or-treating.
Right.
Because, I am a first generation Christian, and as a parent, I was just like, no, we can't let our kids participate in Satan's holiday.
Right, yeah.
Candy is good, but Satan is bad, and I can't give a front door to that. And so that was what and I'm not really, I know you're not either. We're not making fun of that because there still might be
No,
people in our
absolutely.
community that feel that way. So I'm like, so give me the deeper dive on, because now at the Davis household, Pastor Dan hands out the Reese's peanut butter cups,
Right,
and
yeah.
only Reese's, and as big as possible.
Right.
And he loves seeing the kids, and we love to show up. We don't want to be the house with the lights off.
Right, yeah.
We want to be the house that does face-to-face with our community. So we've changed over the years a
Right,
little bit.
yeah.
So give me your take on that.
So there is a 1-for-1 New Testament correlation to this.
Oh, go.
So Paul talks about it. I think it's in Romans at the end. So there used to be this thing where some Gentile Christians who used to sacrifice stuff to idols had this issue with like eating meat that was sacrificed to idols because they thought this was for another god, so I can't touch it, I can't eat it, whatever. And then there are some people who are like, no, you can eat this, whatever. And Paul even says, I forget where it's at, but he says, we once thought we were sacrificing this to other gods. We've now come to realize that that's nothing. And so some people are like, I can do that, and that's okay, because their conscience is not like, oh my gosh, this was this, so this is sin for me. And so they're like, I can eat that. But for some people, it's still very much a sin issue for them, a morality issue. And so they're like, I can't do that. We kind of view Halloween that way. It's like some people go, no, this is Satan's holiday, it's whatever. And it's like, maybe we used to view it that way, but now it's like we realize that's nothing. We have freedom in Christ. We realize that, he who's in us is stronger and better than he who's in the world. And so we have freedom to partake and go, hey, this is not that issue. We're not participating in that by doing that. And so we're free to do it while realizing that there are other people who struggle with that and not making light of it, not flaunting it.
Or not saying get over it.
Right, exactly. Realizing that there are people who struggle with that and they may never get to a point where they're okay with that. And that's okay. But it is, I think it can be viewed as a religious liberty kind of a thing to think about. And I think that both parties in this should not push it into each other.
Right.
I think people who they're really conscious about, what they're doing and that kind of stuff, they should feel that way, but not feel like they have to project that onto people who feel like they're free to do it. And the other people, just the other way around. We shouldn't go, come on, get over that. Like, really? Like,
it's so funny because I feel like growing up, or when we had younger kids and we were the young family, I feel like Halloween was one of those big rocks that people talked about as parents. If you're a good parent, if you're a good Christian parent, you do this or that. And now I feel like it's 2021 and there are so many other things that we as you're like, oh, you have this opinion about, vaccines or the virus or this or schooling choices or whatever. And it's all so many things. Halloween, I feel like, is chunked down on the like, and Dan talked about in this series, home is a place we believe. And we talked about doctrine and we talked about our die fors and whatever. Those things didn't make the list, of what we're going to die for at Hopeville. And yet, boy, it really is. People have things people, including myself, have things we feel super strongly about.
Right.
So it's like, again, trying to recalibrate, like you shared the story in Romans of, is that really a die for, or can we allow someone who has the same belief system that I do to make a different choice in that area?
Yeah, and there's all kinds of stuff that falls into those categories, right? And so, when I was growing up, it was like rock music.
Yeah.
Because I went to a church that was ultra conservative and was like, that's of the devil.
Right.
And I'm like, really?
Right.
Is music a more, like the beat of the music, is it a morality thing? Is
it
not like and so it was just really interesting growing up in that kind of an environment and then coming out of that kind of environment going, oh, I have freedom. And I have liberty in this stuff. So I'm not going to, because I felt the freedom of it, I'm not going to allow myself to be bound again.
Yeah.
I think that's Galatians.
Right.
So, yeah, but in understanding that there are people who really struggle with that.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to make light of their struggle with it. And I think even the pattern is, and this actually goes into a maturity conversation. I think what Paul says is those who are mature, who in the meat conversation was like those who feel the freedom to be able to eat the meat should look out for the weaker brother. Right. And in that context, the weaker brother was the one who struggled with the morality of the meat.
Yeah. Right.
So I always, when I was being raised up, it was like, well, no, the mature ones, the ones were the ones who were like, no, this is sin, it's wrong. But you come to read the passage, you find out, oh no, the ones who feel the freedom in it really have matured to a point where they can go, okay, I need to be the one who looks out for the other person, not flaunts my freedom.
Right.
So,
okay, so, tune into the deeper dive to talk about, but I mean, this is where we get to talk about the controversial things, right? I'm sure there are some people listening right now going, oh, sweet mother, like I
Right.
don't get that, or I don't agree with that, or whatever. But this is where we can talk about the things that are a little controversial,
Yeah.
and then to keep the conversation going,
Mm-hmm.
which, this is something we're going to dive into in a little bit, but it's like that whole concept of growing in maturity. We need to do that in community.
Yes.
Right. And I loved when you pointed that out. So, well, let's just start there.
Okay.
Because I feel like you talked about knowing versus doing and becoming.
Right.
And knowing is something you can do on your own.
Yes.
But doing and becoming you need to do in community. So splice that out, or
Yes.
paint the lines for me.
So yeah, the knowing part can be a part of a community too. Like I think one of the things that we as Americans have just intrinsically as a part of who we are as a culture is this rugged individualism.
Yep.
Right. So we can do things on our own. It's very individualistic. And even our faith, very individualistic.
Yes.
The rest of the world isn't like that. In fact, a lot of, history has not been like that. The church has not been like that. It's always been done in the context of community. So I think it's fascinating that we think we can do faith on our own.
Right.
When has always been done in the context of community. So that's a point. The knowledge thing, though, like I can learn a bunch of stuff on my own. Everything's out there. I can Google.
Yes.
We can always grow in our knowledge by ourselves. But to actually practice my faith and to do what I know, that always is in the context of relationships. It's always in the context of one another's.
Yes.
And there are, I don't even know how many one another's in the New Testament. So it just highlights this importance of community and doing and practicing your faith in the context of other people. Because otherwise it's just I'm really smart in the Bible and I know all this stuff, but I don't have any practice of it.
Right. I just that was like a new concept to me, because I do feel like we have a tendency to be the rugged individualist. I think my wiring in particular is just like, no, I can do it. Hands off, I can do it.
Right.
And so the knowledge and dividing the knowledge, but that's not our only goal. So
Right.
for someone who wants to do it on their own, shoot.
Yes.
I can't get there.
Right.
Because we define maturity as...
Maturity is the application of my knowledge and wisdom over time.
Yeah, so we have to apply it. So there has to be other people involved. So explain to me a little bit more about how that looks in community. Does it mean we have conversations like this where we disagree about something and we have to get those rough edges off? Does it mean I just need people to practice my loving my neighbor on? Or what is it? Yeah.
So, for example, if I'm by myself reading the Bible and I come up with, I think this part is saying this, and I believe, something, and or I mentally get to a place where I believe something, but I never check that in the context of a group of other believers who are like, maybe don't see it that way. I can begin to form beliefs in a vacuum and believe things that may or may not really be accurate or true. And then it sends me down a path where if I'm in community with other people, together we can discern, what is God really trying to say here through this, And I think that's how we individualistically, when we do this, we can get ourselves into trouble doctrinally, because we can start going, that makes sense to me. But, within the context of a group, they may go, well, have you thought about this? Or what about this? Or what about this? And that's where we, where two or three are gathered, there I'm in your presence. Because the Holy Spirit is working to go, hey, I'm affirming this. Or, hey, you're way off base.
Right.
So that's the thing where community is so important in our growth, in our knowledge, and in our growth, and our maturity. Because not only can we practice our faith in community, the one another's, all that kind of stuff, but we also can really test out our theological stuff and go, is what I'm reading here, is that accurate?
Yeah.
Is that other people's experience, or is this just me reading my own experience into this text and going, I'm going to develop this way out there doctrine that everybody else kind of looks at you and goes, how did you get that?
Yeah. So explain to me then how important it is for us to surround ourselves with people that might see things just a little bit differently than we do.
I think that's so important.
I know. So, but is it just important, in our social media feeds that I'm listening to or reading from people that think differently about a subject than me, because that's not really community. I'm just
Right.
drinking from different streams,
Yep.
but which I think is valuable as well. So we don't just feed our own little
Yep.
narrow thing, but in the community, like that's one of the things I've loved always about Hopevale is that we have like for an example, we have homeschoolers, we have
Right.
Christian schoolers, we have public schoolers.
Yep.
We love each other and give each other as parents freedom to not go, oh, you're the substandard parent
Yep.
or the parent who's not trying hard enough. But we can learn what other people are learning in that challenges again how I believe
Right.
about something in a way that draws me closer to Jesus.
Yes, absolutely.
So tell me about that.
Yeah, so I think it's important for both. I think you need. So I have books on my shelf. If you were to walk in my office, that you would be like, "Why are those on your
Yeah.
shelf?" And they're on my shelf because I have come to the conclusion I can learn from anybody, and I want to be challenged by people who think nothing like me.
Yeah.
Because what I don't want to do is come to a conversation or come to a thought process and go, I'm right. Because if I start with the premise of I'm right and you're wrong, then I can never learn anything. And I can't grow and I can't be stretched. So if I come to the premise of I think I might be right, but I want to be challenged here, or I might be wrong. If I come with those kind of premises, then I can actually learn and grow. Because I don't want to have confirmation bias all the time where it's like I only listen to people who I agree with.
Right.
So there's that side of it. The other side of it is I think it's more important to have people in your life you're doing community with that don't always agree 100% with you, because then you can sharpen each other. Then, there's actual like conversation happening, not just, hey, we're a bunch of yes people for each other and we always agree about everything. And, that's called a cult, like,
I mean, it's off, right? But I
Yeah.
think there are people that feel that way. I mean, it feels better,
right.
doesn't it? To like get in a group of people or in a living room or whatever going, I know those, you hate the same people,
Yeah.
you approve of the same
Right,
people.
yeah.
And so it feels affirming.
It does feel affirming, but at the end of the day, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You're not ever growing. You're just kind of stuck in the same, and you become an echo chamber of your own ideas and own thoughts. And then you start believing things that are way out because no one is ever willing to challenge or check you on it. Or, I think that's how cults start. Like everybody goes, we all drank the Kool-Aid. We all agree on this one thing. And then people are outside looking like, well, that's crazy. Why would you do that? But we don't ever want to listen to people who have a differing opinion from us. And so therefore we believe all this stuff that, could be crazy, but we're not willing to let ourselves go, hey, that we might be wrong on that.
So how do we trust that the Holy Spirit's not going to let us slip off the deep end?
That's a great question.
I mean, like seriously, like, so I'm listening to all these wild, crazy ideas or whatever. And then we think, how am I going to make sure that God keeps me? Is it God that keeps me from making sure I don't even then start letting go of my to die fors
Right.
and start seeing things off of where he would want me to be?
So I wrote it down in my own journal about, mature people don't. And the
Yeah.
very first one was they don't just go after every fleeting, fading
Yes,
fad.
I loved when you said that.
But they really look at, okay, what's timeless truth? What are the things that, aren't ever going to change? Now, I'm a progressive person. I'm always looking at what's God doing? How's he pulling me forward? What am I going to think tomorrow that I wasn't thinking today? All that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I'm also looking at what is timeless and what are the things that God has said and says, this is going to be true no matter what.
Yeah.
And how do I hang on to those while not getting stuck in the past kind of
Right.
deal? So that is the dance.
Yeah.
Of having differing opinions on this stuff is like, okay, what do we agree on that's true here and that we can, put a stake in the ground and say, we're not moving from this. And I think that's where, the unity of who Jesus is, what he did on the cross, all that kind of stuff, that is the stake. Now we can have conversation about the other stuff that's on the, not the main thing stuff.
I think it's interesting to think, I was challenged once that when we get to heaven, one, some of the people that we thought were going to be there might not be there.
Right.
Some people we didn't think were ever going to be there going to be there.
Right.
And that the chances of being 100% right on every opinion we had is probably about zero.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I, for one, am looking forward to God going, yeah, you thought this,
Right.
but I was really doing something else there. And so, again, to be open-handed with the things that are not our die-fors,
Right.
and let Jesus grow and morph us along the way.
Yeah.
So,
I really wonder what it would be like Jesus were to come alongside us and go, hey, this is good. You're missing it on this. I wonder what he would say we're missing it on. I wonder what he would affirm and say, way to go, you're doing it right.
Right.
I would be fascinated
Yes.
in that conversation.
Me too. Let's pray for that. Let's pray for that. So, okay, so you went yesterday, Ephesians 4,
Yes.
a lot about Ephesians 4. I want to give you some time on that, but I wanted to start with the whole concept of, because this is me backing it up 2 steps always. What about someone who was sitting there yesterday going, what do you mean I have to grow and mature?
Right, yeah.
Because when I first came to Christ, it was, hey, you need to begin a relationship with Christ, put your trust in what he's done on the
Right.
cross for you, and then you check a box and you are now a Christian.
Right.
And so that is the term we use for that.
Yeah.
I didn't go to seminary, but justification.
Justification, yeah.
Right. And then you move to sanctification. So those
Right.
are 2 in tandem. But I don't think I thought about sanctification for a long time.
Right.
Because I thought for a long time,
I'm good. I'm in. Yeah.
Well, I'm in, and what else is there?
Right.
The Holy Spirit came to live in me, and now I'm sealed, and I'm good, and Jesus will just protect me until I can go to heaven.
Right.
But now there's a whole process of growing from infancy to maturity. That's the process of sanctification, Ephesians 4. So
Yep.
I'll just boom it over to you.
I think so. We are, as Americans and as Westerners, we're
Again with the Westerners
It's-
thing. Is it true? Because I need to increase my vision about.
No, I think it's we grow up in a certain way and we think about things in a certain way.
Yeah.
So for most of the world, that concept of I checked a box, I'm in, done, is not a thing.
Yeah.
It's always a process, always growth.
I hate process. I want to box check it.
Right. So there's a whole historical explanation as to how we got to where we're at with this kind of stuff. It has to do with the Industrial Revolution. It has to do with, we'll sell you this pill that'll fix your problem. All that. Sometimes how we present the gospel is like, hey, you have this problem. I have your pill. Now you don't have the problem anymore.
Yes.
Versus this is a relationship. This is a path. They called the following Jesus at the beginning, they called it the way, which the way.
Like in the Bible times.
Yes.
That's what they.
they
Followers
called
of
it
the way.
because it wasn't like a one and done thing. It was a path you walked. It was following Jesus. It was a way of life. And you and I both know a way of life isn't I made the decision, I'm done.
Right.
It's a everyday way of life, of living.
Yes.
So I think Western civilization has promoted this idea of, well, I checked the box, I took the pill, I got I'm done.
Yeah.
I got the vaccine. I don't have to worry about I'm good, I'm in. And we care more about eternal life and getting into heaven than we do about what this life looks like and the path we're on and the journey we're on. And I think that if you look at the New Testament and you look at what they talked about a lot, the heaven piece was a part of it, but they talked way more about the way of life and following Jesus than they did about, check this box, get into eternal life kind of deal. It was a part of it, but it wasn't like the major focus. The major focus was how you live on this planet is a very important thing in following the way of Jesus here, because it is about eternal life, but it is also about bringing the kingdom of God, that kind of stuff.
So what if I'm not motivated to do that? How
That's
do
a great
I,
question.
how do I start changing my thinking to think this way that I'm going to follow from now until eternity is not impacting, again, whether I'm saved or not,
Right.
but it's the way, is it to make Jesus more happy with me? Or is it because it's the way of the abundant life that Jesus has promised us, so there's something in it for me?
Right.
Or is it, well, my desire really is that other people would know?
Right.
Like, what motivates me? Because technically, I can just say yes to Jesus and just live life like I want to until I meet him face to face. Yes? Okay, talk. Talk.
I think Paul addresses that in Romans when he says, "Oh, can I just, because I've checked that box, can I just live however I want to?" He goes, "No, don't do that." Can you? Yes. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
I think he says that too. But then you should also question, am I really following Jesus?
Right.
Like, is this, I often, working with teenagers for 20 plus years, one of the things I've often thought and said was, why you got into this in the first place is going to dictate how you lived your life. So why did you follow Jesus? Is it because someone scared you into it? Is it because, you wanted to go to heaven when you die and you're afraid of dying and, afraid of hell, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Or is it because you really feel like living for Jesus is the best way to live your life here? And because eternity and all that stuff, eternal life is the icing on the cake, but like, this is really how life is supposed to be lived.
Mm-hmm.
And you meet all kinds of different people who have all different kinds of motives for why they want to follow
Right.
Jesus. My question has always been, if it's just about the fire insurance at the end, then what's going to happen is you're going to live your life however you want to and go, I'm good. I checked the box,
Yeah.
But if it's really about, I want to live life the way it's supposed to be lived. I want to live life the best way I possibly can. Jesus shows us that.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, I've taken care of the eternity piece because of the cross and what I've done there, but I've also given you the opportunity because of the Holy Spirit living in you and following me to live life the way I've always intended for you to live.
Mm-hmm.
If you follow me, that's what that life is going to look like.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like my motivation might have started personally with the fire insurance
Yep.
thing. And then it was a realization that if God is real, like I claimed that he was when
Right.
I made a decision for Christ, and he is enthroned in the heavens and does whatever pleases him, and that angels are 24/7 going, holy, holy, holy
Right.
is the Lord God Almighty, that I'm like, I need to live in light of that.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise, what the heck?
Yeah.
I mean, if that's a reality that I claim to believe,
Right.
then it's got to influence in how the choices that I make in the everyday.
Absolutely. Because if you're going to claim there is a creator, then you have to claim he created you on purpose. There's a
Yeah.
purpose behind why you're here. Like,
Yeah.
God just didn't create stuff and go, oop, I guess that is happening now. It's like, no, when we create things and go, okay, I have a purpose for why I created this
Yeah.
thing. When we don't live for the purpose that we were created for, and we don't live the way we're designed to live, it's just a mess.
Yes.
And so Jesus comes to take care of eternity, but also to show us the way we were designed
Mm-hmm.
to live our lives, to, the way God wired us up the way we're supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And, when we follow that, we're never going to perfectly get it.
Yeah.
But this sanctification process is conforming more and more to who God originally made us to
Yes.
be.
Yes.
And so that's why. So if someone's like, I don't really want to do that, it's like, well, you don't want to be all who God made you to be in the first place. Like,
Right.
like there's a reason why life feels crummy. And it's not like it's, life's going to get better and all this kind of stuff because of sin and all that. But you can live your life the way that God intended for us to live our lives and get to that point and understand like, oh, life is just better when you love one another. Life is just better when you extend grace to people. Life is better when you don't hold on to things and become bitter and angry and all that kind of stuff. And when you're fighting and biting and devouring, life is just better
Yeah.
when you live it the way that Jesus shows us how to live it. So,
And why wouldn't it be? Because he was the one that designed it to begin with.
right.
Is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I agree. Okay. So back to know, do, become.
Yes.
Here's my question. You said if we know something,
Yeah.
then we got to transfer it to the do something.
Right.
My question is the hiccup in between there is if we're not doing something, maybe we don't know it really.
That's yeah. So I talked with someone after the service yesterday, and it was a lot about that. Like, a lot of times what we do as followers of Jesus is we get in the game. We're like, yes, I want to follow Jesus. Now, what do I do?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, go serve, go do this, go do that.
Yeah.
And we don't spend enough time really getting to know who Jesus is, getting to know the scriptures, that kind of stuff. So our discipleship gets low, but our serving and all that kind of stuff is way up here.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think there is a hiccup in that when it's like, okay, I know all this stuff, or maybe I don't know all this stuff, but I'm now encouraged to like, oh, you've been here for a while, so do. And it's like, we as, I'm going to say again, as American people, we're all about doing. We're all about, like, I got to do something. And sometimes what we need is, I need to really get to know who Jesus is. I need to get to know the scriptures. I get to know, I grew up in an environment which was all get to know.
Got
no,
it.
no. And I don't know, are you going to do anything
Right.
with it? Like, or there was a people who had a lot of like up here knowledge about who God was, who Jesus is. They could tell you chapter and verse of all the things, but they lived their life in such a way that was very super hypocritical to what they know to be true.
Right.
So yes, I think the hiccup comes sometimes when we run to do before we've sat long enough in the know.
Okay. So I was thinking about what you and Dan have talked about in the last 2 weeks prior to this week about giving and serving.
Yes.
And the challenge is, give, serve.
Right.
So my question is, if you're still like, don't want to, or I can't quite do that, maybe the encouragement is to look and see what, again, our Creator intended, how we
Right.
intended us to live. Maybe it's to pump up the know a little bit.
Yep.
And then maybe, because if you were really convinced that God was the one that was going to supply every need, if we
Right.
really knew it, then it wouldn't be so hard to do it.
Right.
But is the answer, maybe I need to put feet to my faith and actually try it to be more confirmed in the doing? Chicken egg. I'm like asking.
That's a great question.
I don't know.
I don't know
asking.
either. I think sometimes some people need to do it
Yeah.
and just get in it.
Yeah.
And then they learn why later.
Yeah.
And then some people need to learn why on the front end and then be challenged to do it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know where the starting point is. I think for some people the starting point is, let me just do it. But if they never understand the why, then they're
Yeah.
just doing a bunch of religious activity. So
Yeah.
Jesus meets this Samaritan woman in John chapter 4. And she asks him the question of, okay, so you Jewish people worship on this mountain.
Yeah.
We worship on this mountain. And Jesus comes back with a really interesting thing to her. He says, we Jewish people, we know who we worship. You Samaritans, you worship, but you don't know who you worship. Mm-hmm. And so what he's saying to her is, listen, we Jewish people, we have a lot of up here. We know who God is. We don't always do the right thing. Like, he chastises the Pharisees for not doing what they know all the time. Mm-hmm. But he says to her in the same breath, you guys, you have a lot of doing, but you have no knowledge of why you're doing what you're doing. Mm-hmm. You don't have the understanding part of it. Mm-hmm. You're all out there serving, going. So everybody has this like, one or the other where they've a starting point. So the Samaritan woman has started at the doing, and Jesus wants to bring her back into the knowing.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people in church, they're doing, and what Jesus wants to do is go, no, I need to bring you back into, here's why you're doing what you're doing. Know this. Because if she doesn't, she's just going to keep doing, and not know why she's doing what she's doing or know who she's doing it for.
Right.
And then there's also the other challenge of get off your rear end when you know everything, but you don't act it. You don't live it.
Right.
He called them whitewashed tombs. You have all flash on the outside, empty on the inside. Like,
right.
Do what you know to be true. Go live it, Jesus says.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about knowing it, it's about living it. So
right.
there's this dual challenge, because then he says to her, he says, there's a day coming where people will worship in spirit and truth, where there's the knowledge and the doing all together. And I think it's super important to realize that it's not a one or the other.
Yeah.
It's There are people who start here with the knowledge who need to be translated over to, hey, do what you know to be true. Then there are people who are just doing a lot of religious activity, and they're like, I'm not really even sure why I'm doing that. And they need to grow in their knowledge, because the goal is not to be heavy on one side or the other. The goal is that they're synonymous with each other and growing.
I loved how you used that synonymous word, and I was taking notes myself. I didn't know how to spell it, so I appreciate the help with the slide because I want to spell it correctly. But, okay, so here's one of my questions, though, because this is something I've been thinking a lot about lately, about how we come to faith in Jesus and become a Christ follower is more than the intellectual assent of there is a God, there was a Jesus, he died on the cross.
Right.
So explain the difference. This is kind of like a little sidebar, but explain the know and believe. Like the transfer of trust, the trusting in what I know is different than intellectual assent.
Absolutely.
And so that's a choice that we make when we actually come to faith in Jesus, has to be more than, because I don't know what the percentages are, but there's a lot of people that would intellectually assent to who Jesus was, but don't really maybe believe in him with that heart knowledge belief. So that could be true about other issues as well, right?
Yep.
Like, I know Jesus can provide for my every need, but yeah.
Right. So, to make it really...
God. Sam, speak faster.
Yeah, sorry. So, I have like several analogies. I used one with teenagers once. Like, there's the knowledge of this chair is going to hold me. But if you never sit in the chair, like, oh, I know the chair can hold me. I know that it works. But I don't know if I trust the chair. And just kind of walk around it and tell other people that there's a chair there, and they, if you sit in it, it'll hold you up. The difference between knowledge and trust is I'm going to sit in the chair.
Yeah. And
I know it's going to hold me, and I'm actually going to allow it to hold me. And I'm going to just go all in and trust.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the hardest steps for people.
Yeah.
Is trust.
Yeah.
And then what I think is interesting is it should translate to the rest of your life. When you think about, I was able to trust Jesus with my life and my eternity and all this stuff. Why can't I trust him with my finances? Why can't I trust him with my parenting? Why can't I trust him in these other areas? I think it's just a control issue. It's I trust myself more than I trust God. So then the question comes back, when you came to Christ, is it you trust yourself and your knowledge of this whole thing, or are you really just saying, I'm trusting Christ?
Yeah. And so I feel like that's where the know, do, become could kind of parallel in, though, because maybe the way to grow that belief from a know to believe is by actually doing it, sitting on the freaking chair. So, and then that becomes become. Right. The more we do that, then it becomes.
Right.
Like,
well, the more you trust, the more consistently you will trust.
Yeah.
And then it will be just a pattern of your life to trust God. And I think that's the thing. It's this consistency over time that develops your maturity.
Yes.
Because, like I said it yesterday, the difference between someone who can make a mature decision and someone who is mature is the consistency over time that they do that thing. Like, Nick can come to me and go, Dad, I cleaned my room.
Yeah.
Or Dad, I did this. And I'm like, oh, great. One time. But for the majority of your life, that's not but the more he shows consistency over time, the more I'm going, okay, you've shown me maturity in that area. I'm going to trust you with more in this area. Like, so that, if I'm trusting in Jesus more and more with all this other stuff, it's becoming a pattern of my life. And now maturity happens.
Yeah.
And it's who I'm becoming, not just something I do.
Yes, totally agree. So last thought, how are we doing at Hopeville with this? Where are we on the know, do, become?
That's a great question.
Like, how do you feel? Like, you're one of the pastors here. You've been teaching the majority of this whole series. What do you think?
I feel like there is a strange dichotomy at Hopeville. Because we're an older church.
Older how?
Years.
Like, our people are older, or we've been in existence?
We've been in existence for a long time.
Okay.
So we are not an older congregation, but an older church. And there are people who have been here for a long time. And then there are people who have been here a very short time. Like, so that's why I said there's this dichotomy going on, because I think there are people who have been in their relationship with Jesus for a long time. And the no part for them, they're like, check. Maybe even the do part is a little bit of a check, but the become maybe is an issue. But then we got this other group of people who I think they're all about the do. But I don't think the no is quite there. And I think that, across America, I think in the church, biblical literacy and all that kind of stuff has just kind of come way down.
Right.
And that could be for multiple reasons, but I think that is what we're seeing a younger generation who they don't know the scriptures. They don't know why they believe what they believe. They maybe went to church as a kid, but that has not been a big thing for them in their life outside of I went and I checked off the box. Maybe I went because I wanted God to be happy with me, kind of a deal. But I'm not trying to learn about my faith in Christ. I'm not, and maybe that's a second, third generation thing. I don't know what that is, but what I'm coming to realize of just conversations with different age groups of people in our church is that the people who've been here a while and the people who have an investment in the no part can feel very frustrated about the younger Christians who really don't seem to want that part of their life. And then these guys feel the second group feels frustrated that the group that's been here a while that has the no stuff, they're not active and wanting to run and do and be and all this kind of stuff. And so there's this strange dichotomy at Hopevale when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Right, which, you know what, I kind of love. And it kind of points back to why we need each other.
Absolutely.
Which we've talked about home again.
Right.
And so we've got different age siblings in a home, and we've got it all going on. So, Sam, thank you for everything that you've brought to this series. You've been the main teacher in this series, and you and Dan together have really, for a series I really wasn't that excited about, I'm like really camping on it. So I feel like I have seen you mature so much in how much you have lived consistently over time and found your voice that speaks well to our congregation and to my heart of the passion for Jesus. And so thank you for bringing that and doing what it took on, to be part of all of this. So, yeah, awesome. So, and thank you everyone for listening today. And we want to invite you to join us next time as we take the deeper dive.
Thank you for watching the Deeper Dive video podcast. To check out our full library, make sure to subscribe by clicking the button below. Also, make sure to select the bell icon in order to be notified of any new content as it's posted. If you would like to give to the Lord here at Hopevale and support the ministry, you can give by visiting hopevale.org/give. Thanks again for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you and your family here at Hopevale Church.